This is about instrument flags and histograms and putting it all together to interpret your instrument printout, okay, before you let that result cross over into the system and tell the doctors that, hey, this is what I found, okay, and this is what I think that we're working with right here. Okay, so it's to understand how histograms and instrument flags are used in the working clinical laboratory. And so the outcomes are that you'll understand what a normal instrument report looks like as opposed to a abnormal one, and the flags that and the codes that will be on those abnormal histograms. Instrument reports. Okay, this right here is a normal instrument report. Okay, so you can see right here. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I can point. Okay, so you've got your normal histogram. You've got your lymphocytes right over there, and it's about 50 femtoliters. And you've got your neutrophils, or your granulocytes right in there. Everything is normal, and it coincides with the data plot. So there's your lymphocytes, your monocytes, your granulocytes, and your eosinophils over there. You've got nothing at the bottom here showing that you've got debris. There's nothing there. Everything is clean. Okay, you don't have any messages. You don't have any error flags. And normally, a report like this won't even print out, because most labs have auto verification, so they're not even concerned if the results are normal, because the way the limits and everything are set up, if that patient falls within those ranges and within those limits, they're not even going to bother to print a normal flag out, a normal report out. Okay, so once you put a sample on the analyzer, I think the last time I was here, you all were making slides. Now we don't really use the little white thing to put the dot on the slide. We use sticks, because we're going to ream for clots before we even put the sample on the analyzer. Because if you get a clot on that analyzer, it's murder trying to clear it out. Okay. So once you put the sample on the analyzer, say you reamed it for clots, you made your slide, and you put it on, and that's when the flagging limits that your laboratory has come up with and programmed into the analyzer, and this is besides the company's limits and everything that they put on the analyzer. Your lab, depending on your patient population, is going to set its own ranges and limits. So once you put your sample on the analyzer is going to start running those flags. It's going to run those all the criteria to tell you whether or not you got a normal run or abnormal one. And if you have to manually enter the results, like for your CBC, like for your differential, right there, that's voted out. We're going to talk about that later. But if you have to manually if you have to do a manual diff, you'll put those parameters in there, and then the analyzer will reconfigure the flags to match what you've put in, so it can get out the right numbers there. And this is as long as it's in a pending status. So it has to be pending. You cannot have sent that on through the hospital or the clinic's LIS system to result it. It has to be in a pending state. But because once it's not in a pending state, that you can't reconfigure those flags. And if you put out something and you go back and say, oh, this was wrong, okay, that's when you're going to create a corrected report, okay? So the instrument flagging is to increase the sensitivity of the instrument results. And so the type of flags you're going to have are reference range flags, action flags like the delta check, okay, definitive flags that tell you that depending on your laboratory's ranges, it's going to tell you whether or not you've got monocytosis. I mean, it's without question. It'll tell you what you have without question, and that's going to show up on one side of the report. And you've got your parameter codes that's going to, those codes are going to, whenever your instrument can't get a result, those parameter codes are going to go in for those results. And then you've got your decision rules. Like I said, the laboratory and the instrument, the laboratory administrators and who's ever done the validations will set those rules. And so how the result, the instrument will start flagging your CBC result. It'll start putting those flags on there. Okay, this is an abnormal flag. And whenever you get a flag, it's going to appear to the right of the, the result, like down here. That's a high limit for the reticulocytes, okay? So that's going to put, it's beyond the normal parameters. So it's not critical, but it's high, okay? And so that's a definitive flag, and that'll tell you that you've got high reticulocyte, cytosis is going on here. So here's an example of the codes. This when you get this code, like the string of colons, it's going to tell you that you've got either you've got clots in the sample, or you've got the flow cell is clogged on the instrument. And you can see that you don't have any separation in the cells right there, so you know it's something really going on to cause this. So you're going to have to look at it. And then right here, you've got your platelet clumps. So when you're looking at your flags, you want to make sure that everything is kind of like in accord. So we've got this on the data plot. It's no separation of cells, okay? And it's down here where the platelet clumps or RBC fragments will be. And you've got, on the suspect flag, you've got the platelet clumps, okay? So you want to look and see what's jiving, okay? You don't have any results here for the automated differential, okay? You've got all of that garbage right there. Your histogram kind of looks funky. And so you've got you know what the instrument says it is. It's high reticulocytes, and you've got that down there in the data plot down there. So the instrument is going to tell you, it's going to give you a set of comments, suggestions as to what you may want to do so you can get a good result, before you put it out. So you're going to kind of look for patterns. You want to look for the codes, look for patterns. You want to look to see if everything is jiving on that abnormal report. So you'll kind of get an idea of what you want to do. Okay, so when the flagging appears, it's going to be on your right side. Okay, so like right here on this example, you've got flagging right in there. And it's saying that, which one is this? Monocytosis. So you've got probably a clot somewhere in there. And on your suspect flags, you got a low event. So that meant that there weren't enough cells for the instrument to count for the differential, and it has to be above 800 cells for the instrument to count to give it a good differential. And since this was a low event, it's going to put an R flag on here, and it will make you go and look at that slide. Okay. Okay, and these are some of the flagging symbols that when you all get into the laboratory, you'll see. And that'll be, what Gideon was talking about, the reference material that you'll have in the lab. You're going to have books in the lab pertaining to the particular instrument that you're using, and that's where these symbols may come into play. At Mercy, we use the LH750, the Coulter 750, and it's pretty old. So you have to do certain things to get it to work. And one of the most important things is when you're looking at your sample and its results, is that you've got to make sure that instrument is working the way it's supposed to be working, because you've got to determine whether or not it's an actual sample, abnormal sample, or it's with the instrument. Okay, the flags and codes. The asterisk, when the asterisk appears in place of a result, it means that the result has exceeded beyond the counting threshold of the instrument. and you've got to do something about that before you can put out a result. You have to you'll have to do a manual diff, or you might have to dilute it, okay? And you have to follow the dilution protocols for your laboratory. The plus sign, that means it's the results have gone beyond the reportable range, the linearity of the reportable range. So in these two cases, you're going to have to do a dilution. Okay, and then there are the action flags. When this is the A and the L. The large L is when it's lower than the normal range. So it's a little bit lower, but it's not critical. Okay, and usually with a result like this, if you can go ahead and check the integrity of your sample, or you can check the patient's history to see if that patient was actually running low, you know, and usually you can just go ahead and put this out, a low result or just a high result is probably just a little bit higher than the normal range. But again, you want to check your patient history to see whether or not they were running like that. And then down here we have the criticals, the critically low and the critically high. Those are something that you definitely have to do something about. So these are examples of the action flags. On a critical result, you have to run it twice on 2 different analyzers to make sure that the result that you're getting is actually a true result. And if you don't have 2 different analyzers, you can either run it in an open mode that's manually with the cap off, or you can run it in a closed mode on the rack and let it just automatically go through the instrument. You're going to get some variation in the results, but they're going to be well within 10%. If it's a true critical, it's going to show a true critical. So if it's critically low, you want to check to see if you want to check your sample, you want to rerun it, and you want to see if the sample is aspirated all the way, because you might have a really low sample. Sometimes the labels that you'll get on your tubes will cover up the amount of volume you have in your tube. So you have to really check and see whether or not that sample, the integrity of the sample is good, so that you'll know that you're getting good results. Oops. Okay, and when the R flag appears, it means that you have to review the results. And so you're going to make a slide. Most places expect you to make a slide on every sample that comes through. You're going to make a slide. So before you make that slide, you're going to ream it. You're going to make your slide so you'll know that you won't see any visible clots that might threaten to go through the instrument. Okay, so this is this one is an example. I think that's a low event up there. And that meant that it didn't, there weren't any, it didn't, the instrument didn't calculate from greater than 800 cells to do that differential. And so that's why I want you to go to the slide. And right here, you see